Good afternoon. On behalf of my board colleagues, I welcome you to our June work session. Today is Tuesday, June the 9th. Special welcome to those joining us here in the auditorium as well as those watching online. ABSS staff, students, families, county commissioner, nope, they're in their own meeting this morning. And as always, our friends from the media. Board members, you've had an opportunity to review the agenda. Is there a motion to approve at this time?
And Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to recommend we add an item under superintendent for graduation venue search.
Okay, absolutely. There is an amendment to the agenda under C to add C1, and that will be a graduation search committee.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Really quick before we move on, I did fail to mention two things. Ms. Harvey is with her daughter today at college orientation, so she will not be with us today. And I believe Mr. Mitchell has a guest joining us today, so we'd like to recognize her as well.
This Lindy Gupton, she is a summer associate at Tharrington Smith, and she'll be going into her third year at Wake Forest Law School.
Thank you for being with us as well. We'll be on good behavior. All right, moving into the agenda, I will turn the floor over to Dr. Fleming for comments about our graduation search.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just very briefly wanted to let you know I've heard some feedback from parents and others, and I know we've had a couple situations with the venue in Greensboro, and so while we appreciate them allowing us to have graduation there, I think it's we've had a significant number of parents and community members, business leaders, and all that really want to move our graduations back into Alamance County. I know our hotels and our restaurants really would like that as well. And so I wanted to let you know we're going to form a search committee. I'm sure we'll have a board member or two on it that will search for available venues within Alamance County. And happy to answer any questions on that.
Thank you, Dr. Fleming, for sharing that. Any questions or comments at this point for Dr. Fleming?
I mean, obviously, I think it would be a great idea if we could have graduations in Alamance County and use local resources. And so I think it's good that we're forming a committee. So thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Anyone else? All right. We look forward to learning more about the Graduation Search Committee and moving that back into our county. At this time, I will turn the floor over to Mr. Messer, our Chief Financial Officer, for a budget amendment.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, superintendent. Today seems to be the budget day, so we're good talking about budget. So today you have 6 reconciled budgets before you for consideration. The amendment for the State Public School Fund. If you'll put it up the screen. There you go. The amendment for the State Public School Fund is $1.252 million. The school district received additional state allotments since the budget amendment number 1 was approved. These allotments consist of vocational education program support, summer reading camps, exceptional children, limited English proficiency, transportation, and literacy intervention. If we can get to the detailed version of it, that will be the other, that one, the budget by PRC. You can see detailed line items there by program. With this budget amendment, the total state public school fund totals is $176,027,221. There are no increases or decreases in the local current expense budget. However, a budget amendment is needed to cover transfers within existing purpose and program funds. A transfer is required to cover the cost of moving a budget to areas where they are more properly aligned. And this is an effort to continuously review and examine all areas of our budget. And that budget amendment is $32,046. We just moved it from one area to another, which made better sense. The amendment for the federal grants fund increases revenue by $876,362. Additional allotments, again, were received since the budget amendment number 1 was approved. Exceptional children, school improvement, improving teacher quality, and mental health, along with small increases through a lot of the federal programs that we have. Some of that was fiscal year 25 allotments that were left over that they allotted out to most of the school districts in North Carolina. A little bit of leftover funds in each program. The amended budget for capital outlay increases revenue by $5.1 million, and this consists of bond projects, school technology, regular capital outlay, and LEA school bus finance installments that is paid for by the state. We have to record it on our books for general accounting purposes, but none of that money actually flows through our school district. The state of North Carolina leases those payments. No budget amendment is needed for school nutrition. And again, as far as the daycare fund, there's no increases or decreases in the total budget, but we need to move money within existing purposes, which make more sense for how the program operates. And finally, the amended budget for the other local current expense fund increases revenue by $2,374,500 to budget the additional interest income through our change in our banking services through our RFP process. We had additional Medicaid dollars and indirect costs from federal and school nutrition, federal programs and school nutrition. If approved, the total budget so far this year for ABSS is $940,440. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have with this budget amendment in front of you.
Thank you, Tony. Any questions from board members? No questions? Is there a motion before the board? Oh, this is information only, yes. I'm
You'll
sorry.
vote on it at the night meeting on the 22nd.
My apologies.
Yeah, no
All
questions?
right.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Messer.
Mhm.
This time, I invite Mr. Matthew Haley to the podium for a curriculum presentation.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Fleming. Each year we have to, the board has to vote on our alternative accountability model for Ray Street Academy. So I'm here to present this information for you today to put it on the consent agenda for the evening meeting later in the month. The reason we have to do this each year is because it's State Board of Education requires that the board votes on this, and I have to submit documentation by August 1st of each year. So we have three options for our alternative accountability model. And they're option A, B, and C. I'll go into this in a little bit more detail, and they're all under all the general statutes for the State Board of Education. So option B is what ABSS has historically used. It has three components of the accountability model. Student persistence, how many kids stay within school after they leave Ray Street or attend their regular high school, or if they leave our county, if they go to another one. Student school achievement and school growth. As I previously stated, student persistence is percent of students enrolled throughout the year remain enrolled in North Carolina Public School through the end of the year. School achievements, just like our regular high schools, EOG scores, EOC scores, ACT, work keys, graduation rates, how many kids take and pass Math 3. And then school growth is how well do kids do compared to what the state expects them to do on the state achievement test at the end of the year. So each one of those counts for a different percentage. The main percentage is student persistence is 20%. achievement is 20% and school growth is 60%. If there's not enough students or enough data in these, they may have a missing component. So you can see the scenarios where if persistence isn't there, then the achievement goes up to 25% and school growth goes to 25%. Same thing with scenario C. If student achievement, if there's not enough data, then it's 25% and 75%. If school growth isn't there, then it goes to a 50-50 ratio. Unlike our traditional schools, Ray Street is designated with progressing, maintaining, and declining. It's an increase of overall score by at least 3 points, or declining is less than greater than -3, at least 3 points, and then maintaining is a change between -2 and -2.9 overall points. What happens when there's insufficient data for the scores at the school? We return those, the scores either are returned to the home school or we use 3 years of data. And we've historically chosen to do the first option, which is return scores to the home school. That's what our recommendation is today. So the options that you have before you is that we participate, or Ray Street participates in school performance grades like regular schools, but the problem with that is we have so many school students that transition in and out of Ray Street throughout the year, and it's not as many kids, so it's really hard for that basic school performance grade to be applied here. Option B is which Ray Street has been historically using, is where we use the persistence, the school growth, and the school achievement. Or option C, which is something we'd really have to look at in the fall if we wanted to create our own model for the State Board of Education, because we have to present that and share it with the state, get feedback, and do those things. So really the only two options is A and B. And we're recommending that that the board puts for option B on the consent agenda for the evening meeting, the 22nd. Yeah. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Haley. Any questions or comments from board members? Yes, Mr. Rogers.
So I know we've normally done the option B, and that is y'all's recommendation and stuff. And I guess for me, since it seems like that's what's been working for Ray Street, Dr. Haley, and Dr. Bayless on what's been working, because of the fact, like you said, it is the students in and out throughout the year. You might have students at the beginning of the year, and then they might be gone. Either they leave the county or they're back to their home school, which I know from talking to Dr. Bayless, a lot of times his main goal is to get them back to their home school so they can be there with the rest of them. So, I mean, I just think just going forward, I don't see really a need in going against what's been working for the school. So that's, I just really wanted to make that as a comment more.
And a follow-up to what you said, with students coming and going, sometimes at the end of the year, students are transitioning to Ray Street late, like even in May, and then they're having to take their assessments with Dr. Bayless's staff, less than a month from the school year being over too. So that's a consideration.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any other questions or comments? All right, we look forward to this on the consent agenda.
All right,
Thank you
thanks.
for being with us. At this time, I will invite Dr. Sean McWhorter, our Assistant Superintendent of Academics, for several curriculum items.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Dr. Fleming, members of the board. We have a few items. All of these are for consent agenda for the to be approved on the 22nd. So the first is the MOU that we have for Career and College Promise. No really major changes from the last time that this came to you guys, is to make sure that we maintain our partnership with ACC. They have been an absolute wonderful partner for us to work with, and really kind of a cut above what in terms of partnership that many other districts have with their community colleges. So very happy for that partnership, and this is the MOU that will maintain us through the 2028 school year.
All right, thank you, Dr. McWhorter. Any questions or comments on this agenda item? All right, We will see this at the consent agenda on the 22nd.
The next two items are both contracts. So the first is for a digital platform. It is called Learning A to Z. It is a reading platform used in K-5 through elementary schools. Provides leveled readers to all students that they can even continue accessing over the summer. The amount of that contract is $199,934.22. They do already give us a discount for providing services to the entire district, and they actually came down an additional 10% this year through some more negotiation that we did at no reduction of services.
Thank you. That's good to hear. Questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, it always is good to hear about a discount to something. But I guess my question was, and I think you hit on it, but if you could just give a little bit more around how they can end up utilizing this outside of just the classroom, like especially for those students who might need that extra help or extra ways or whatever. How can that be something for them to use at home, or ways of that to continue that learning and reading comprehension pieces?
Yeah, so the resource offers, so for access, any computer phone can access the program. Students have their login information through the school, and they have access to all of the leveled readers, AA through, I think, Z or whatever it ends at. Students read books they can have them read aloud to them. Take comprehension quizzes. There's additional information for the text on there so that students can really build those skills, and there are a plethora of books in every single reading level. So for struggling students, just having that exposure to text can really help them to either avoid summer learning loss or actually come back a little bit farther ahead than they may have ended up. And it's super easy to use, very friendly. I actually used it with my son back when he was in kindergarten, and it can really help to get them accelerated.
And then I guess too, in just from researching up the program, let me know if I'm wrong with this. It does like give assessments to make sure like it keeps the student at their level, but gradually making them, helping them to progress up.
Yeah, so students can actually select to work at any level that they want to work at. However, the comprehension quizzes at the end of each book, if a student's not successful on those, then it would obviously be that indicator that they're too far advanced, or not too far advanced, but maybe at a reading level that they're not quite ready to be at.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they can just select on a different letter for reading level and enter into the text at that reading level. Once they begin meeting success on that, it's usually a good indication that they can just click on the next reading level and experience the text at that level.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. McWhorter.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any other questions? Dr. Parker?
So this service, and I think I may have already asked this question when this was discussed on some level before, but so this maps to state standards and that kind of thing. So teachers could say, well, I'm working on this during this time, and these resources are identified within the software. Am I thinking of that correctly?
The resource is not for standards alignment. It is really a reading exposure and comprehension, and so teachers can utilize the resources to tie to their standards, but it's not going to give you a book that's then geared towards author's purpose. Okay. It'll just give you a resource in a bunch of resources on different topics, and that's how really all reading text is, and then it is the teacher's responsibility to tie that text to the various standards.
Okay, that makes sense. And I may not have refreshed this on my computer. What is the source of funds for this? Is it local? Or
yes, this will be done either through local funding. We can also use like textbook funding for this also. So after we start weighing in all the different things we have, we'll determine where that best fits.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Dr. McWhorter. We'll see that on the consent agenda as well.
Thank you. The next contract for consent agenda is for public impact. Public impact is agency that essentially created the advanced teaching roles, or ATR. This ties into the grant that we applied for and received. Grant funding will be utilized for this contract. So again, that is grant funding for this contract. They were written into the grant as part of our plan, with the goal being that we start them at this level and then scale them back each year as more and more of those skills become really assimilated into ABSS. So this is probably the biggest contract that we'll see for this company throughout this grant process.
Questions or comments for Dr. McWhorter?
Dr. McWhorter, just another thing I was out there researching because seeing it on the agenda, wanted to brief myself on it. So with this public impact software, am I correct in like with the advanced teaching roles, this will help in like some professional development and also possibly like help through like learning plans and different things like that too?
Yeah, so point of clarification, it's not, part of it is for access to their online portal and such, but the contract is really for that professional development support and guidance for the district as we embark in advanced teaching roles. So they're really a consultant group in that sense. But yeah, it is to make sure that we implement advanced teaching roles correctly. We're using the opportunity culture model, which comes from public impact. They'll work with our schools, they'll work with central office personnel. They will be doing some summer onboarding for folks coming into these roles, and essentially making sure that the work stays focused on what the work is supposed to stay focused on.
All right, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any other questions or comments? I'll just remind the public, this is the grant, what, 1.5 million, 1.4
I think
million?
about 1.4 million, yes.
That ABSS received as one of maybe 34 districts, I think, across the state.
Well, in total, only, was it
It's a
three?
very
Three or
small-
four districts, and we were the highest ranking
highest
grant
scoring
that they've ever had.
grant. So just wanted to, I know we talked about that last year when we had that good news, but this was a great opportunity to kind of reshare that. So we are excited to see what ATR brings to ABSS. All right. Any other questions on anything thus far? If not, we'll move into field trips.
All right, the last item, also for consent agenda, EM Yoder is requesting approval to take their 5th grade students to Washington, D.C. This is happening next school year, March 18th and March 19th. Students will have a guided tour of some major landmarks, including Capitol buildings, Arlington Cemetery, while also participating in many guided tours at some museums as well. The total cost or cost per student for this trip will be about $360 per student, with donations from PTA and school-wide fundraisers being used to significantly reduce those funds or that expense, while the school will also be providing financial assistance to any student in need so that nobody is left out.
Thank you, Dr. McWhorter. Any questions? Excited to see that one on the consent agenda as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
This time I invite Dr. Christy Davis, our Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, to the podium for several agenda items.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Dr. Fleming, and members of the board. Yes, the first one is a voting item. This is for the Department of Exceptional Children, our Communication Access Partners contract. We need to amend that. We've had a new student move in late in the year, or we've already kind of had to cover this. So we needed to increase our current contract from $309,000 to $319,000.
Okay. This is a voting item because it is for this current fiscal year. Are there any questions for Dr. Davis before we entertain a motion? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Thank you, Mr. Engel. Any other discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously 6-0. Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Thank you. Next, I have the Communication Access Partners contract for next school year, the contract for educational interpreting and translation services, including sign language interpreting and foreign language interpreting, in the amount of $560,000. This contract will run from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027, and it's coming from state.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll see this on the consent agenda on the 22nd. Yes, ma'am.
Next, we have two grants. Western Elements High School has been awarded $2,500 grant from Southwest Southland Dairy Farmers. The funds will support the school's strength and conditioning program, providing chocolate milk to participating students. Ashley Cook from our Homer Andrews Elementary School was awarded a $15,000 grant from Impact Alamance. Grant funds will support the transformation of the school's library into a dynamic discovery center designed to integrate literacy with hands-on STEM exploration, fostering collaborative inquiry and a lifelong passion for learning. The project will also provide updated furnishings, including new tables, chairs, and flexible seating, to create a modern and engaging learning environment for all students. So those two grants, we have $17,500. And for the year, our grant total is $245,648.30.
Thank you, Dr. Davis.
And there may be more, but that's what was submitted to me. So next, we have 8 gifts. Turntime Middle School received a donation of $2,151.60 from the PTO to support campus beautification efforts. Funds will be used to purchase a new front entrance, as well as shrubs, plants, and trees for the school's entryway enhancement project. Western Alamance High School has received an anonymous donation in the amount of $5,000 to support the school lunch program. The funds will be designated for the cafeteria SFO program to assist with outstanding and future student meal balances. SFO standing for School Finance and Operations. The Hawfields Middle School Boosters donated $2,000 to Hawfields Middle School. Funds will be used to support a concrete improvement project in the baseball, football, and concession areas. Garrett PTO has donated $2,992.50 to Garrett Elementary School for campus landscaping enhancements. Improvements included trimming bushes, clearing flower beds, and installing new mulch at the front entrance of the school building. The Southeast Alamance High School Athletic Boosters donated $79,735.46 to Southeast Alamance High School. The donation will fund the construction of 4 new dugouts to support the school's baseball and softball programs. The Alamance Burlington Early College Travel Scholarship Fund has received a donation of $2,000 from Interstate Narrow Fabrics Incorporated. Funds will support the school's 2027 trip to Japan. Turntime Middle School has received a donation of $2,505.25 through the Red Robins Dine Out Nights program. Funds will support students and staff through PBIS initiatives, academic celebrations, and Teacher Appreciation Week activities. And lastly, All About Roofing LLC has donated $1,500 to Western Alamance High School. The funds were used to support student admission costs for the soccer state playoff game. And that is a total for this month of $97,884.81. And the yearly total of gifts, $347,173.68.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Thank you for sharing those annual numbers with us. A lot of generosity there, and a lot of impact from our community members. And we're excited to see this on the consent agenda. Any comments or questions for Dr. Davis? Yes, sir, Mr. Engel.
Just thankful for these different organizations, different businesses, and our PTOs are smoking right now. A lot of them. I mean, all of you probably got maybe the memo from Western Middle School and their PTO, and just so many different projects that they're working on. And it's not just Western Middle. We're seeing others here. I mean, it's great what's going on with these, one of the things I ran on was to try to have PTOs at every single school, and we were unsuccessful in that. But the ones we do have are really working hard, and I appreciate every one of them. And I appreciate these businesses too. I know what's being built at Southeast is a lot of money for those 4 different, but it's needed, it's needed. So, and if they can raise the money, hey, that saves us, doesn't it? When you think about it, it saves the taxpayers. So, I thank all of them.
Thank you, Mr. Engel.
Mm-hmm.
We will see those on the consent agenda on the 22nd.
Thank you.
At this time, I invite our Deputy Superintendent of Operations, Mr. Greg Hook, to the podium for several contracts.
Madam Chair, Dr. Fleming, members of the board, I have 3 contracts to present to you for consideration to move to the consent agenda at the late June meeting. The first one is a contract for Synovia Solutions. This is a 5-year subscription renewal for GPS software, time and attendance software, vehicle inspection software, and Here Comes the Bus software. The amount of this contract is not to exceed $100,558.50 per year. The source of funds is state transportation funds.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Questions or comments? All right. Oh, yeah.
Madam Chair, I do want to say, 'cause I think this is important. We've heard from the community on this as well, but the Here Comes the Bus software is the GPS software for parents. They'll have an app. They'll be able to see when the bus is nearby. Some parents may be at work, their child gets dropped off at home, they can see that they were dropped off at home, and so this is another technology advancement we're working into, and I appreciate Mr. Hook and Transportation Department working on this, because again, this is another piece of software we've been asked about from parents.
Thank you, Dr. Fleming. I might have been dancing a little bit at the bus driver banquet about Here Comes the Bus. So, I think this is something exciting for parents, and we're certainly here to support the Transportation Department through the transition. Mr. Rogers, did you have something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna, Dr. Fleming touched on it, but also just asking with the Here Come the Bus GPS system that now parents will be able to have that access to. Is it like, I guess like a tracker that is put on our buses, or is it through some other means on our bus to how the parents will be able to see that GPS of the bus?
As part of this subscription, they're going to install all new GPS equipment on all of the buses. And then through those devices, drivers clock in and out on the bus through that system. And that is the GPS monitoring that's going to feed the data to the Here Comes the Bus app. So a parent will be able to, if they know their child is on, let's say, bus 33, they can see where bus 33 is in the morning and know the estimated arrival time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hook.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. All right, we'll move on to the next one.
The second item I have for you, this is a fresh milk products contract. Child Nutrition put out an RFP for fresh milk product bids, and this the winner of the bidding was Marva May Dairy, doing business as Mayola Dairy. It's a one-year contract to sell and deliver milk to school sites. The estimated price is $618,330 based on the quantities we think we'll sell, but it could vary based on how much milk we sell.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hook. Questions or comments on this particular contract? Thank you.
The last item I have for you is a contract for Child Nutrition Temporary Staffing Services. This is with a staffing company called NOR Staffing, and the cost to cover child nutrition vacancies at school sites will be $20.24 per hour, and the value of the contract is not to exceed $150,000.
Questions or comments for Mr. Hook on this one? All right. We will look forward to seeing this on the consent agenda on the 22nd.
Thank you.
Mr. Hook. I invite back Dr. Christy Davis, our Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, for first reading of policy updates.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair again, Dr. Fleming and members of the board. So the North Carolina School Board Association has released their spring policy updates. The update includes 14 policies, 9 with substantive changes and 5 with only minor changes. Additionally, staff have added 2 options to consider for policy 6320, the use of student transportation service. Option A recommends the use of hired vehicles while prohibiting private vehicles for transporting students. And Option B recommends the use of private vehicles by a designated staff member, but only in the event of an emergency. All policy changes are described in detail in the updated table that has been uploaded to the website. These policies are presented for review as first part, as a first reading.
We'll open it up for questions. I do have a question on policy 6320. Is the staff recommendation option A or option B?
Option A.
Okay. Any other questions for board members? Mr. Rogers?
And for that student transportation, that is a part of that presentation that we had from the Elon students,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I did have a question around, what was it? The one around the student searches and then around the, I guess, on the changes around the wireless communication in school.
Yes.
With the student searches, because I know now we have the metal detectors in there, and so that was a part of what was, when I read through, that was a part of what was added into the student searches.
Absolutely, because I think what was currently was a metal detection and we added in weapons detection.
Okay.
We needed to clarify that language since our schools are starting to use that.
Okay, and then, hold on. And then in the section where it starts to get into where, due to increasing problem of weapons in schools, schools officials may use weapon detection. And then it says school staff members assigned by the principal or school system staff assigned by the superintendent or designee. So there, we're just, at the school level, they'll possibly assign somebody who, I guess, is monitoring that weapon detection.
Yes, and who's comfortable kind of taking that role to do that additional search if needed.
Okay. All right, so it's not going to be just something that will be assigned to the school level SROs.
Correct. I may lend to Mr. Hook.
I'd like for you all to go out and see this when school starts. We got it up and going at all of the secondaries to different degrees. All of the high schools were using it very well, and several of the middle schools got it going before the EOGs. But late in the game, we at least got it operating so the student staff could see it and hopefully tell parents about it. So the way we're set up at each high school, we have 3 systems, so we can cover at least 3 entries. We may have to purchase additional units for some of the larger high schools to have a 4th. And then middle schools and elementaries each have 2, anticipating they have 1 car rider entry point and 1 bus rider entry point. So knowing that, we have 1 SRO at each school. They cannot man these things. An SRO really needs probable cause to do a search, whereas we don't. If a school principal or their designee has reasonable suspicion, which is what happens when these weapons detections systems alert, that causes us to have reasonable suspicion. So we have teachers or school staff assigned at each of these entry points, and it takes several folks to run these systems. You have one who's making sure they're coaching kids to take out your Chromebooks or your umbrellas or other items that we know will cause these systems to alert, so they can be passed around, maybe on a table. That's what some schools are doing. And then you have someone standing at that table observing what's coming around and giving it back to the student once they've passed through the weapons detection system. The other part of this process, if a student walks through and you walk through with your backpack on, and it should not alert on a cell phone, but if you happen to have something in your bag that you didn't realize you had, like a full-size stapler or a full-size pencil sharpener, which we found, then you move over to another table and put your bag down. You step back through the weapons detection. If it doesn't alert, we know there's nothing on the student, and then staff screen the bag. So we're screening to see what's in there that's causing it to alert. That's not a search, that's just a screen, and that's why the policy is written as it is with the word screen. If a student alerts without their backpack, that would constitute the need for a search, and that's why in a separate area of that policy, separate area talks about procedures for a search, which is more private.
All right, thank you for explaining it out, Mr. Hook, because like I said, I was reading through and then I had someone who sent me a message just asking around that. piece, and they had talked particularly to the SRO part of it. But like you said, with the locations, you can't have just the one SRO trying to man all of them too, and everything. And so that's why I just wanted more clarity to be explained out so the public can hear that also too and have that understanding. And then, what did I say, on the use of the wireless devices?
Yes.
Hold on, sorry.
Pull that one up. Thank you.
Okay, so looking at the green section where it says students may not use wireless communication devices inside school buildings, at school-sponsored events, or on school buses to capture audio, video, or still pictures of other students. And so I guess just a question around that, when we're talking about school-sponsored events, are we talking about like if they're at like a basketball, football game, dance, any of
Yes.
those things?
Correct.
Okay, so they're not supposed to pull out their phone and try to do any recordings
Right.
doing that?
And I think too, if I may, Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
If I can go on that, the reason why that is one, we use a school dance. That's the one you mentioned. When a student pulls out a phone and records, if they're recording a student, that student, may not want to be recorded. They're underage. You don't know what could be picked up on that recording, either verbally, physically, whatever it may be. And so we're trying to find additional ways to protect student rights when they are in situations like that. Also, this will cut down on the aspect of if you and I are going to fight, someone's going to record it, right? So we go in the bathroom to fight and someone's there recording it, and then that recording gets out that has your image, your face on it. So we're really working again that the purpose of obviously for instructional time we don't want cell phones. We don't mind cell phones being out during non-instructional times, but we also have to make sure that it's being used appropriately during non-instructional times, and so that's the purpose of that.
Mr. Rogers, did you ask about athletic competitions like basketball games?
Yeah, well, I did ask about that, but then
You saw the exception?
I missed
Okay.
over the exception
Okay, all right.
piece, so.
I just want to make sure that you
Yeah.
saw that. No worries.
Yeah, no, I did see
Okay.
that. So I appreciate more clarity just around that and the reasoning for that. I mean, it does make a lot of sense on that. But like I said, I missed the exception piece. So I think my confusion was, well, I thought we was talking about if it's open to the public and you got all of these other folks there that's probably trying to record
Right.
something too. So
And
my
if we ended-
apologies on that piece.
And if we end up going with this language, if we vote on it, this will definitely be something we have to communicate to all our administrators so they're aware of this change and the additional language that's been put in here.
And also students will be, even in the public setting, I think this is important to distinguish. Again, I don't think the dance is necessarily public because not everyone can come in, but let's say it's an athletic event, basketball, football, whatever it may be. Again, let's say you've got two people fighting, that's recorded, it's not a part of the game, it's not a part, there will be student consequences for that. So I think it's important that, again, it's the appropriate use of the device. And I think that's some parents are gonna want to probably argue that at some point. Why is my student getting in trouble for recording Seneca and Avery fighting? Well, one, there will be punishments for the fighting, but there's also punishments for the recording as well.
Yeah.
So is the intent of the policy, so what I kind of read into it when I was reading it, and I assumed the intent of the policy was to prohibit or to prohibit recordings, many of the things like Dr. Fleming was talking about, and then sharing those things without the consent of the students that were actually being videoed.
With other students, on social
Okay,
media, all
okay.
of those aspects that we're
Okay.
seeing right now.
Any other questions or comments about the policy update? Mr.
No.
Rogers?
No, I don't have any others. That was just my main thing, and I appreciate you adding in that other piece too, Sandy, to it too. All right, so thank y'all.
So just as a process question, so this will come up for second read at the evening meeting later this month, or when will we see this again, for second read and then a vote?
it'll be on consent agenda at the end of the month.
At the end of the month, okay. So got it. Thank you.
Now, as board members, you can pull anything off of consent agenda and have it discussed.
It may be that when we're doing the agenda, I may have a question to ask for this to be pulled off consent at some point later, but
Yeah.
I think that's fine right now.
That's perfect, Dr. Fleming. Excuse me, Dr. Parker. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, Mr. Wagner.
Dr. Davis, thank you. So on section A on page 1, it says, before using the internet, all students must be trained about appropriate online behavior as provided in the policy. How do we acknowledge that those students have received that training? Is there any communication sent home with parents and or guardians as far as these expectations go?
The schools are responsible for communicating those expectations. I am not sure I can find out whether or not they send something home, but I do know they communicate it verbally.
Yeah, I guess the concern I would have is if, well, my child didn't know.
Right.
You know, just, yeah, because this could get into some serious content for sure. Okay, great. Thank you.
Code of conduct, yes, and they have to agree to that.
All right, great questions. Anybody else? We look forward to seeing that on the consent agenda. And then, of course, we'll pull off anything that may raise questions in the interim. All right. At this time, I believe Mr. Engel may have a motion for us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Board members, I make a motion we enter closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 to preserve attorney-client privilege, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A6 to consider confidential personnel information protected under North Carolina General Statute 115C-319 and 115C-321.
Thank you, Mr. Engel. Is there a second? Thank you, Dr. Parker. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. We will move into closed session at this time. We are back in open session. I welcome Ms. Dr. Yolanda Anderson, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, to the podium for personnel report.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Fleming. I ask that you approve the personnel report as amended in closed session.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Is there a second? I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Is there any other business before the board?
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Thank you for joining us today. We will see you on June 22nd.